As the master of suspense, Wes Craven had an illustrious career, scaring the bejesus out of horror movie audiences for 40 years. So in this video, we're gonna honor his legacy by counting down the top 5 most suspenseful moments from the Scream franchise. What is up, Scream team? Zach Cherry here. Guys, I started this channel because I'm a huge horror geek, and if you're like me, you might want to consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on those bell notifications so that you can stay up to date with all my latest videos. Before we get started, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and let us know in the comments down below what you think are the most suspenseful moments from the Scream franchise. Now, as much fun as it would be to talk about the Scream franchise on my own, I figured it would be even more fun to talk about it with someone else. So I asked my pal 3C Films to help me out with this one.
Hey man, thanks so much for having me on. I really dig all the Scream-centric stuff on your channel. Whenever there's Scream news pop up, I hate that sometimes I'm the only one who talks about it, but I found your channel and I love all the Scream stuff. So thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for finding. I think I found you, but no, it's a pleasure having you here. So, Chris, did you want to start with any honorable mentions?
It's funny looking at the list, and I felt bad, but on my top 5, because of what we have, I won't have any moments from Scream 3. I really thought about squeezing in one of those moments, but when we came down to 5, I just couldn't nudge anything in. So for honorable mentions, I will go. I don't know how we're going to name the scenes because I don't know if they have particular names. So I'm just going to describe them, and I guess you could just tell me what the name.
I think like most people will understand.
Yeah, okay. The scene in Scream 3, when they're reading the scene from a play and then it leads to the house exploding. I thought that was really well done. I like where that was headed. It was unexpected. I didn't even see that coming. But that's an honorable mention for me. Do you have any?
I do. I have one honorable mention. The first Scream movie where Sidney runs to the news van, where Kenny comes in and they see Randy on the couch and Ghostface is like hovering over him, ready to kill him. And they're just like, holy shit, like, kid, get out of there. And then he turns around and realizes that there's the 30-second delay.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's such a short scene. Like, it doesn't last very long, but just the fact that they set it up so well earlier on.
Even cooler in that scene where Randy is like doing what all horror fans do in those moments where he's like, turn around, behind you, and it's literally happening. Like, I just love how meta that scene came out to be.
All right, so let's go right into number 5.
Okay, for the number 5, I chose in Scream 2, towards the end, when we get the reveal that Mickey was one of the killers, but the moment specifically is when Mickey's trying to trick Sidney that the boyfriend was in on it too. I thought that was really well done in suspense, because even myself, as an audience member, you're wondering, is it true? Are they playing on that fact again of the tropes, because in the last movie they had the boyfriend be the bad guy. I'm like, was the boyfriend the bad guy this time again? It would be something so expected, but because it's so expected, it could be true. And I just remember feeling so sad when it turns out he was innocent and Sidney just kind of let him die. But I really like that scene.
Even like earlier on when they're in the hospital and he's like, why would he go back into that house? So he was like planting seeds like way earlier.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like such a good suspenseful moment. Because even the first time I saw it, I had no idea what was going on. For my number 5, I actually picked from Scream 3.
Okay.
And this is literally the only moment in Scream 3 that I thought was suspenseful at all.
Okay.
And that is at the very end of the movie, like kind of like the climax, the fight between Sidney and Roman.
Yeah.
Where you actually think like she could die. And then he shoots her twice. And it's set up earlier when Randy's saying on the videotape, like, the rules of the trilogy, anyone can die, including you.
Jumping to number 4 then. That's a good scene. I like that. Let's see. Number 4, probably one I feel like it has to be on your list. Just because this is one of the instant moments that I thought suspenseful in the Scream franchise. The car crash scene in Scream 2. When I forget the character's name, but Sidney's roommate has to get over Ghostface. That was very intense. Yeah, because you're just expecting him to wake up or to stab her, and the fact that they make it out, but it's still not a happy ending for that character. I thought that was a really good moment.
It's definitely like every aspect, and this is on my list too. Like, I won't tell you which one. But,
okay, no, we'll wait.
my number 4 is from Scream 4, and that is the scene I guess we'll call it like Kirby trivia on the phone.
Oh, okay. I remember that moment for being like the big thing in the trailers for Scream 4.
And I think it just, what makes it so good is like Hayden Panettiere
Yeah.
just sells that so well. And then when she just like goes off and lists like every single remake that has been made in the last 11 years at that point or whatever, and then there's just silence, and she's like, I won. Should I go outside? No, don't go outside.
Here's hoping she survived and there's some sort of
Right.
mention of her in the fifth film. For number 3, I'm over here from Scream 4 also, but the scene I chose in particular is in the closet scene. Now this is a scene with, again, has Hayden Panettiere and Emma Roberts, and they're talking to a friend that lives right next door to them, and the whole scene you're just wondering if he's really there, if he's messing with them, what's it leading up to. And then the twist that I didn't see coming the first time I saw it, when he was like, I didn't say I was in your closet, and then these friends just have to watch their one friend get taken out, thrown out the window. I really dug that scene, and it showed that you can do some of the same shticks from the 90s but modernize it a bit and still just be it's pretty horror-centric.
What I like about that scene is they're having a slumber party. Like they're just kind of chilling. They're talking on the phone. The cops are outside. Sydney's in the other room. Like you think that
you
like
feel safe.
Yeah, exactly. There's like this safety net from like all over the place. You don't like, of course you know something's gonna happen because it's Scream 4, but you don't know how it's gonna happen. I think that is definitely the suspense in that moment there. For my number 3, and I guess like I was just kind of going for the first movie, like the opening scene, the Drew Barrymore scene. But if I had to like hone in and just say specifically what is the most suspenseful part about that, is when she's running around the back of the house and sees her parents pulling up, and you're home free. Like, you've got this, girl, like, keep running.
Yeah.
And of course, just when you think everything's fine, Ghostface tackles her. And then we get that shot of her like running and him coming up and stabbing her. And even after that, even after she's stabbed and like knees him in the crotch, and she's crawling up to the porch as they're walking up the steps, and she's trying to like call out with like her last breath because he's strangled her.
Yeah.
And they don't even hear her because they're like too busy looking at the flowers or something. And it's just so like mean-spirited in a way, because it's like you were almost there and now you're dead.
Yeah, so that specific part of that opening scene then.
Yeah, you. I mean, I'd say like the scene in general, but that moment, if I had to be more specific.
For number 2 on my list now, getting to the most suspenseful, going back to Scream 2. I really just end up going back to the first 2 movies. I don't know, I guess that was just the height of the franchise. I still really dig the third and fourth movie, but I guess when it comes to rewatchability, I just really dig the first 2 movies. And the scene here that I go to that was very suspenseful, I remember as a kid, is Gail and Dewey in the college, specifically when Gail is in, I guess, the sound room or like the music room, and just like the maze of going through it all, and then Dewey popping up on the other side, and the sound, you can't hear each other, and he gets hit, and I thought Dewey was done for in that scene. So that's number 2 for me.
So this is also my number 2.
Oh, yeah, we got one.
Right?
That's good.
With the first 2 Scream movies, like, those are the most rewatchable, and I think it's because they had those chase scenes.
Yeah.
And there's like literally no chase scene in Scream 4. Like, there might be like something that lasts like 2 seconds, but the Gale chase scene through like the sound room is like the best chase scene in the entire franchise, and just like it's elevated by the score, like the Marco Beltrami, just like all those like string instruments just going crazy, even like running into that room and slamming the door, like just being in the moment and the energy of like, fuck, there's no lock. Well, you already know my number 1. By default, that was the car.
Oh, yes, you're right. Thing. That would be number 1.
They're in the cop car, and then the fact that the only way out is to crawl over. So you have to watch Sidney do that, and then after she gets out, you then have to experience that all over again with Hallie.
Exactly.
And then there's like the disgustingness of like the cop on the windshield with the pole through his eyeball.
I still remember as a kid, though, wondering how he got around to being behind her whenever Sidney decides to go back like that.
He was like Jason Voorhees. Like, he just has like that warping ability.
Well, you did say technically my number 1. more broad, and I will just always
Okay.
go back to the Drew Barrymore opening scene as my number one, just because I saw Scary Movie, the first one, before I even saw Scream. And, because I thought I saw that, I understood what Scream was. Because in a weird way, they basically are the similar movies. They are just making fun of each other. So I thought there'd be no surprises for me. I saw what they were making fun of. But then 10 minutes into Scream, finally seeing it, I was just captivated in. I love that's one of those scenes I like watching just every now and then on YouTube, just because I love Roger L. Jackson's voice in that, and what it leads up to, is more specifically like you said there, where she's trying to go to her parents and she can't. So I'm gonna cheat and say that whole scene, but you were more specific. But yeah, that whole scene for me.
All right, guys, that was our top 5 most suspenseful scenes from the Scream franchise. I want to thank my special guest, 3C Films, again for joining me in this discussion.
No, thank you for having me, man. It was a real pleasure, and I'm gonna have you on my channel when more Scream news hits. I definitely want to do some sort of theory video. Like, I just want to get a cast and maybe a more official plot synopsis. That I think that would give us better substance on what they're doing, if they are gonna stick with heavy continuity of the past 4 movies, or if they're just gonna try and do really fresh stuff with just the original cast members.
Yeah, that's kind of like the real suspense here. Like,
Yeah.
what is Scream 5
Exactly.
gonna be? If you guys aren't already subscribed to 3C Films, I will link his channel down in the descriptions. You can also find the videos for my rankings for the characters from all 4 Scream movies, as well as the rankings for all 7 Ghostface killers. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I've been Zach Cherry, and I'll be right back.